Welcome to the Forum at ESPNLosAngeles.com. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky of ESPN LA, joined by ESPN LA 710's Drew Belzer. Guys, through the first 4 preseason games, I would say things haven't looked the way fans might have hoped. Guys have been in and out of the lineup. Kobe's missed a game. Dwight Howard has yet to appear. There have been some fun moments. 23 points in the third quarter for Kobe Bryant on Tuesday night. But overall, it's been a little raggedy. Drew, do you think the Lakers are getting everything to this point that they need out of the preseason?
I think there's been more positives than negatives, certainly. You look at Kobe Bryant and Steve Nash, they've been looking really good. Meta World Peace is really in the best shape he's been in out of all of his time in Los Angeles. Dwight Howard, if you want to look at his physical condition, I think he's really physically
looks good, yeah.
Health-wise, I would say that he's further along than a lot of people thought that he would be. And by the way, in that trade with Andrew Bynum, he's the healthier of the two. Health is a big issue in the preseason. I'd say this team is further along than I thought they would be.
Well, I wouldn't say that the preseason has been a bust so far for the Lakers. I mean, there's been signs, despite the 0-4 record as of this taping, that they are getting an idea of what they're supposed to be doing on the floor, understanding the principles of the Princeton offense and their new teammates. Dwight Howard's yet to suit up. Jordan Hill hasn't played in 3 of the 4 games. Kobe and Powell have each missed a game. So that fluidity and continuity, the chemistry that they're looking to build during game situations, which are different than practice, it isn't quite there yet. And this can't help Mike Brown when it comes to trying to come up with his rotation, which was not easy for him last season.
Yeah, you know, and I would say, guys, I mean, we saw the statistics, they scrolled up earlier about the way the bench is playing, and certainly there's been a lot of consternation among Laker fans about how that bench has performed, given the horrible experience that the bench had last year. But I think people need to remember, first of all, this bench isn't the bench they're going to be playing with. And when those guys, Jody Meeks, Antoine Jamison, Devin Ebanks, do get in games once the real games start, they're always going to be surrounded by at least 1 or 2 starters. And I think that's an important thing to remember. And Andy, you mentioned practice, and I know practice is different than games. But at the same time, if those guys weren't practicing, if Kobe wasn't practicing, if Powell had really missed, Dwight Howard is beating guys up at practice. He's going full
Just
board,
ask
full
Robert
contact.
Sacre about how that goes.
The practice time that they're getting is full contact, it's full speed, it's without restriction except for Jordan Hill, obviously. If that wasn't the case, I'd be worried. Since they're able to practice, I'm not. I mean, are you anticipating any kind of long-term impact from this, though?
No, not at all. Look, I think everybody is just overly concerned about this 0-4 record as of right now. You know, at the end of every practice, the team gets together, they put their hands in the middle of the huddle, and they say 1, 2, 3 ring or 1, 2, 3 championship. They don't say 1, 2, 3, let's win a preseason game in Fresno. That's not the goal of the season.
It doesn't really roll off.
Way too long.
That's
right.
not what
I understand what you're
that's
getting
not
at.
the players want to do. That's not the goal of the coaches, and I don't think that's what the fans really want them to do. This is a journey, and it just so happens that it's mid-October. And so really, I think the preseason is just a good time for everyone to gel right now. There's a lot of new faces. Steve Nash, obviously, we're not going to see Dwight Howard, but it's important that Kobe Bryant and Meta World Peace and Pau Gasol, the guys that are really going to be playing significant minutes, gel with Steve Nash. That's the important time for preseason, not what the bench is going to be doing, the guys that aren't going to be playing significant minutes later on in the season.
Yeah, and so with that in mind, and given everybody's practicing, they're able to build some continuity there. Any concern about long-term how this could play out?
Well, just you want all the chances that you can possibly get to, again, build that chemistry, build that fluidity. They're putting a lot of moving parts in place right now. They're bringing in a new offense, the Princeton being run by Eddie Jordan. And, you know, the 0-4 record, I don't care about. I don't care if they go 0-8. It doesn't matter to me whatsoever. It just training camp is a real opportunity. We learned that last year in the lockout with new faces.
Or what
with
happens
a new
when
coach.
you don't get a chance?
Exactly. And obviously it's apples and oranges. It isn't exactly the same thing. But if you're asking me if I think it's been maximized the way that they would want to, even knowing that Dwight Howard wouldn't be participating in these games, I'd have to say no. Doesn't mean it's disastrous, you know, around the corner. But it hasn't been, I think, everything they've wanted.
It could, yeah, there certainly could have been more, but it's certainly not a disaster. And the important thing, Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant, Pau Gasol, Dwight Howard, all currently at least look like they'll be ready for the start of the regular season. That is all the time we have on the Forum. For Drew Belzer and Andy Kamenetsky, I'm Brian Kamenetsky.